Welcome in, Steelers fans. Things have gone incredibly well for the Steelers in 2025 so far, including Aaron Rodgers showing Father Time can be put on pause after 2 lost seasons with the Jets. He's hooping, and they are going so well. In fact, it demands the Steelers make a move at the trade deadline to get him some more help, and there is more news to discuss. A.J. Brown speculation hitting a new high. Here we go.
To the corner of the end zone. Oh, for a touchdown!
Yeah, buddy, welcome into the show. I'm Gavin Dawson along with New Bear Lesniewski. How you doing tonight, big dog?
Literally the grass grow. Just I'm watching streams of them resodding Acrisure and just for joy.
Yeah, you love to see it, even though you hated to see how ugly it got. Clearly, the turf not meant for the kind of weekend service it was pressed into.
They owe Boz an apology.
Yeah, that was brutal. And if he'd been hurt, that would have put a whole new wrinkle in the artificial versus real grass turf debate, wouldn't it?
Negative. Negatron. Real grass. Just treat it better.
Yeah, I'll drink to that. Cold beer's coming up. Please subscribe to the channel. That's the number one thing you could do to help us out right now. That would be massive. And if you do it, when I see you, I will beer you. But the news to start this thing off, dude, then we'll get into more details. Adam Schefter on Pat McAfee got the party started really with the confirmation. This thing's still live.
We'll have to check in, but I would think that there will be trades that are made this week because there were last week. You've got the Chargers looking for running back, the Steelers looking for a receiver, the Eagles always looking for help.
So Steelers still looking for a wide receiver is the scuttlebutt from Adam Schefter there. I do want to, talk about some of those specific players. We'll get into that, but I also just want to stop down and appreciate how amazing it is that Rodgers has played at this level. I know all the stats don't say that, but he's giving you a winning level of game management. He's giving you clutch throws when you need it. He's giving you ball protection. He's giving you Hall of Fame level of awareness about the game. And it's clear that, when you need it, he can still make some outstanding throws. How about that ball to Connor Hayward, dude? That was insane. On the run across his body to drop that somehow like a magician behind Hayward where only he could get it was insane.
No. Yes, right? And one of the things, I know you said all the stats, not all the stats measure up. And I know a lot of people don't like the QB rating, and even QBR has its faults. But my thing right now with the numbers, with the data, is that, Aaron Rodgers won 4 MVPs, right? And when you go back through those MVP seasons, his touchdown percentage hit 9 twice, 9.1. He also had 4 other seasons in his career in the 7s, one of them in an injury-shortened year. The other 3 years were the other 2 MVP years and an All-Pro 2 year. The other year is right now. He's over 7% touchdown. Like, he's having statistically relevant. Like, when you talk about impact plays, players making impact plays inside of the damn thing, do you want to see your guy drop back 57 times and throw 52 passes, get his head knocked off like Dylan Gabriel last week, where it looks like you don't really have a plan except for hope it works out? Or do you want to see 21 for 30 and a couple of tutties? I mean, he's hitting at like a 69% clip, which would be one of the best he's ever done it. And yeah, you can talk about average depth of target and all the other advanced metrics. He's getting it done, advanced, elite game management. And the game manager is a term that has such a negative connotation until you have someone with the skill of Aaron Rodgers doing it.
Yeah, and it's a sight to behold. And you appreciate it when you have it, and you want to hang on to it as long as possible. Once you set sail off into those QB searching waters, a half decade can slip by real quick. And Aaron Rodgers has done this with, for the most part, a poor running game, with one good wide receiver, with tight ends that can't get open, and with a defense that's been shaky for more than half the season still so far. He's, managed to guide you through some pretty turbulent situations. But now, my man, the run game is clicking. and the run defense is clicking, and the big play defense is starting to become solid down in, down out. Obviously, the secondary now healthy with Elliott and Porter Jr. getting healthy, and Ramsey tapping into some Wolverine DNA to get that hammy healed up and everything, and he's back. And I mean, he made a big play to close the game out. That's what he does. Like, so all that to say, this Steelers team has so much good going on. You don't say, oh, wow, this is great. We have a chance this year. Let's make the playoffs and see what happens. You say, what can we do to make this thing better, to shore up our biggest weakness? And, I forgot to mention the offensive line playing significantly better. And maybe Aaron Rodgers is learning how to make them not look as bad. But whatever the case, you shut out Myles Garrett. And, Broderick Jones looks like he's figuring out a way to keep dudes off the stat sheet at least. So much good going on, Newberry. Sorry to hold the floor, but that's kind of what I'm cooking with here. That's how I'm looking at this whole deal. Like, you can't just say, okay, cool, keep carrying us, Rodgers. Right now, while things are going good, you still see this offense has limitations.
Well, and I threw something up on the Twitter sphere talking about, shouldn't the conversation be how, like, evolved from DK Metcalf and what they're doing in spite of what they don't have around him, but what they ultimately do because they make a move? Like, DK Metcalf is playing awesome. You are getting production inside of the 4-1-2, unexpected outside of that locker room. They know we've all been waiting for Darnell Washington to be more involved, and not just as a blocker. Those mitts, it's like, you know what? He's not nearly the same athlete, but do you know what watching him catch the ball looks? It looks like Rob Gronkowski. It looks like those cartoon Mickey Mouse glove hands, and the ball just dissolves into them. Like, it looks like a child, or it looks like an adult playing with a child-sized ball. And yeah, maybe Greg Kittle or George Kittle scores on that very first play of the game. So what? Give me 36 yards and 36 pancake blocks. Like, you get stuff out of this dude that is just awesome. There's limitations to that because of what he can't do, because of what Jonnu, quite frankly, can't do, because of what they are not doing and all but almost refusing to do with Muth. So if you're not going to scud seam 88, if you're not going to find out what you really can get with Jonnu out wide, then you got to go get somebody who can play out there. You got to go get somebody who can do those things. And the thing that's so crazy about it is, whoever you like, whatever skill set you want, whether you want another alpha to run with DK like AJ, or you want a complimentary guy go all the way down to a Rashid Shaheed, or maybe slightly upgraded professional wide receiver Jacoby Myers. In between, there's everyone from Olave to Waddle to and you're talking about all kinds of injury history. You're talking about all kinds of salary cap ramifications, and you're talking about what it would cost with the compensation. But there are so many levels to this game that it is incumbent upon the Steelers to be the ones, because they have the move to make.
Yes, they do. They have the move to make, and please don't tell me that you want to make sure you're good in 26 or 27 and don't want to lose any of your draft picks. This is the opportunity right now. I'll say it again. Once you go for it, if you want to tear it down, you can trade those back players off into the abyss and recoup your draft capital. Let's hit this. Okay, we're going to start with Steelers Wire tweeting this story. And I guess it was picked up on, it was on CBS Sports originally, but Steelers linked to A.J. Brown trade that sends Pat Freiermuth, Alex Highsmith to the Eagles. Would you do that? That's why I wanted to.
And no picks. That's the thing. Is there are versions of this that exist now where it's player or players for player, no draft capital.
Yeah, and they I think they make a good connection here. Let me give credit to the dude. It's CBS Sports' Cody Benjamin. That's the they here. That's they. That's Cody Benjamin. He calls Pittsburgh one of the 3 ideal spots. Says you need new players, but I think it's a smart thing to look at Freiermuth, because do you need him and Jonnu Smith? I don't really think so. Once you get into Highsmith, now I feel like you're one injury away from your pass rush not being that much of a strength. So I kind of want to hodl that Highsmith, Herbig, TJ Watt historic trio. But if it could really get AJ Brown, I guess I'd have to get talked into it, wouldn't I?
I'd rather give up Muth and a pick and keep Highsmith, even a higher pick than you're comfortable with, whether that's a 2 or 2 3s or, something that might be deemed unreasonable by this administration or even Steelers Nation is like, you brought Aaron Rodgers in for this season. All the talk, as much as he loved drinking Guinness and winning in Dublin, nothing's guaranteed beyond it. And the purgatory that we've been in since Ben's elbow went Tommy John, and in the post-Ben world, you talk about a half a decade going by, can go by pretty quick. Well, guess what? It fucking has. So
yeah.
Now we're sitting here going, like, you're watching Aaron Rodgers run around and make plays that NFL Films, not random content creators, but NFL Films is making cut-ups of vintage Green Bay days.
Yeah, that's telling, isn't it? Okay, up next here on the Knoll Road, Dawson and New Bear. Like the video if you're liking the video. We go to Behind the Steel Curtain. They got trade tiers for you. Let me just buzz through these, and then we'll get to some other storylines and reactions from Steelers Twitter. Tier 1 realistic home run, Jacoby Myers. That's my guy right there. If I could just snap my fingers and make any of these trades come true. I think there is some wisdom to be like, hey, do you need 2 number 1s? Or if you bring A.J. Brown in, is he just going to bring his problems along with him? Chris Olave is number 2. That'd probably be my second favorite pick as far as who to trade for. Obviously, there's injury history there. But, I guess for a 4, that's a no-brainer. Like that, they're saying that's his trade compensation right now. That just shows you how risky
they were talking about 6s for Jacoby Myers, right? I mean, that's
a third and a 6 for Jacoby Myers, a 4 for Olave. I don't know how accurate that is, but I think they do good work over there behind the steel curtain. DJ Moore from the Bears, 3rd round pick and a 5. I would jump at the chance to do that.
Heartbeat.
A tier 2 realistic and possibly fun. A.D. Mitchell for Roman Wilson in a little bit of a day 3 pick swap. Rashid Shaheed from the Saints for a 4. And then, tier 3 uninspiring stuff with your Alan Lazards and your Mac Hollins. And then an unrealistic tier there with A.J. Brown. So that's kind of a snapshot of,
Is A.J. Brown the only one that they have in there? Because like Sports Illustrated literally came out and said Jalen Waddle is the answer. He's the perfect fit. Get it done. And we talked about that, last time we got together. And like, I'm not trying to be redundant. I'm not trying to repeat myself. But just look at that list. Every one of those dudes is better than what you got going on. And the relative cost is, it ain't much, right? Like, let's unpack this thing for real. And you go, if it's going to cost 3s or a 3 and a 5 to go get a guy like DJ Moore. And now look, every time we get in here and we talk, game gets played, guys get hurt. Garrett Wilson's dealing with some stuff. DJ Moore left the field in an ambulance, stayed behind in DC. Coach said there's more of a personal matter involved in that. So maybe that's a family thing, hope everything's good with the Moores and obviously DJ's groin or whatever it is that he's dealing with. But this stuff is in flux so much that I honestly believe some of these teams like the Titans, once they start getting beat, they shut Ridley down in game, hamstring air quotes listening, because they don't want to take a chance once that game gets out of reach. If he's been on the end, and they're trying to actively shop that dude to nuke and rebuild around Cam Ward. So once the Saints lose one more game, their season's over. Pick your favorite team that's right there on the staring into the abyss. Calvin Ridley wasn't even on that list. You could go get him for the same type of capital that we're talking about.
I love that. That's a juicy angle that maybe Moore's been told you've played your final game. Go do what you got to do. We'll catch up with you on the other side. Is that maybe the what you were looking at there? That is very interesting. Up next here. Yeah. And that would be the player. You talk about a guy that if your protection isn't great, just get him the ball and watch him do magic. I think DJ Moore can do so many different kinds of things for an offense. And, you put him alongside DK Metcalf and that would quickly propel itself into one of the best wide receiver duos in the league. Okay. Up next here on the Knoll Road, the AFC North division odds have finally come correct. Steelers are at minus 160. The Ravens are still plus 160. What kind of an idiot would bet on Baltimore at plus 160? I don't think I'd bet on it at plus 500 right now. Like, do they seriously think guys are going to get healthy and they're going to finish the season on like a 10-1 run at this point?
Yeah. I mean, everyone who thinks Lamar is the second best or best quarterback in the league looks at the back half of their schedule and goes, well, maybe. Plus, they're going to get Roquan back. Plus, they're going to, like, there's just going to be more and more and more for that team that has a history of figuring it out. I mean, the thing that's so, I've said this so many times this week, there's only 4 teams that have 1 loss. And when you go through the rest of the schedule, there's also going to be attrition, right? Like the Chargers, Broncos, and Chiefs all play each other, right? And they don't play the Raiders every week. Eventually, there's going to become a pecking order, haves and have-nots. Also, Tampa Bay, and as great as Baker Mayfield's playing, I mean, that's a house of cards. They hope to get Mike Evans back. That dude's hamstring's been bothering him, I mean, since Johnny Manziel was still playing. And you go through the machinations of Ibuka and Godwin and these guys being up and down. Yeah, they're figuring it out, but for how long? And how long do you trust any of these guys week to week when there's so much variance, injury, fumble luck, short turnarounds on Thursday, short turnaround on Christmas? If you believe that Lamar Jackson is the best or the second best quarterback in the league, sure, why not? That is why you have to handle your business on Thursday night and put a stranglehold on the North.
Yeah, it's a must-win game, and obviously the history of being on the road Thursday Night Football has not been kind to the Steelers. It's not been kind to any team that I'm aware of in the entire league. But this should be an opportunity right here. You might have the best team in the AFC against one of the worst teams in the AFC, and there's only so much help that Joe Flacco compared to Jake Browning is going to do for you. I mean, if you can get after him a little bit and take away his first read, then you might have an absolute field day dominating the Cincinnati Bengals, and you have to do it. You have to, I think, get your third road Thursday Night Football win of the Coach Tomlin era. I think he's like 2-8 or something like that. Okay, up next here on the Knoll Road, one of the reasons this team is running the ball better is going with the 6 offensive linemen, going with Washington, putting 7 guys out there, creating physical matchups. But another one here is pointed out by our buddy. This is Derek at Steelers_DB. And let me put this up. He's tweeting about the Steelers running trap consistently more. And it's something that I've talked about, how important it is to punish the different techniques that defenses are going to use you, and give them enough variance and diversity on your call sheet so they have to second guess what technique they want to use to try to stop what run play they think you might be running. Here's, I guess, their best individual play of trap here from Sunday against Cleveland. Gainwell shoots through there. I think they had 5 runs of 10+ yards yesterday. And this thing is key right here, because as we talked about last week going into this game, like, can you punish them enough with the run to get single high looks? Because apparently that's what Aaron Rodgers and Arthur Smith want to see before they can get more shots.
It's all about breaking tendencies. And like if 14's in the game, Gainwell versus 30 versus, hey, here comes Caleb Johnson. Damn, didn't he have a couple of nice, like, you're like, oh, it's going to come for that kid. And in this group together, what you want to make sure is that if you're going in 11 personnel, 12, 13, and Jalen Warren's up or Gainwell's up, and it's 92% inside zone, then you hit him with a trap, and there's a reason that pops, because they didn't practice that. Well, now, whoever you're playing next week, they got to practice that. And then they also got to talk about, well, what happens if they run counter off of that? Or what happens if it just changes the week for everyone, because now they have to go grab someone from the scout team and have them play quarterback if you run Wildcat, or any of the things that you do with a fly sweep, with an RPO, that you haven't shown before. And what's really interesting about this team week to week, and the reason that even all the way up to something as unrealistic as everyone thinks it is with an A.J. Brown, and whether or not they would find a way for him to eat is what have they done every week? They've done something a little bit different. And for the most part, it's worked out. For the most part, they figured it out as they've gone. And now you're starting to see splash plays. Now you've seen every week DK getting loose. Last week, it was Darnell Washington. A few weeks ago, Warren's down. Here comes Kenny Gainwell winning fantasy leagues the world over. So you're telling me they go get a guy who's not just a guy. He's one of them dudes opposite DK Metcalf at wide receiver 2, and they're not going to find a way to get him the ball. Aaron Rodgers isn't going to get A.J. Brown the ball. Stop it.
Yeah, no, Aaron Rodgers is going to get him the ball. And, I think if you would get A.J. Brown, I would then expect this team to go win the Super Bowl. I think you could say in this league, especially this year, there is no elite team. I think the Steelers probably have the best defense or close to it. And then A.J. Brown on top of what they already got cooking would make this a top 10 offense. Okay, speaking of top 10 offense and Broderick Jones, who I think I gave a little bit of credit to earlier for keeping Myles Garrett off the stat sheet. There is a topic to be had there, and I'd love to get your thoughts, New Bears, the former all-academic SEC lineman at Kentucky. How good was Broderick Jones' day, really? And you could look at the PFF numbers, or you could look at here, this guy, is it Tommy Jaggy? Sorry.
Yeah.
Pronouncing your name, but he's doing a hell of a job for multiple Steelers blogs and podcasts and stuff like that. He's got these cut ups of Broderick Jones, and he says there's too many sloppy reps to be that confident about him. Tell me what you're seeing here.
Yeah, I'm glad you showed that one first, because that was the one that I made the wife stop playing her game on her phone and said, I need you to watch this because this is why I'm terrified for Aaron Rodgers. And she's like, can you just not? Because the thing is, when you have help outside, like, first of all, you can't get beat inside just as a principle because that's the shortest route to the quarterback. But when you have chip help outside, you for damn sure can't get beat inside. So, like, sloppy is the perfect word because he's still not using his hands as much and certainly not as consistently. There's still too many of those headbutts. There's still what you struggle with for the folks who hate PFF versus the PFF stands is if Myles Garrett gets a pass rush win and a pressure but not a hurry because Rodgers hits that third or that fifth step and slings it, then Broderick Jones technically didn't give up a sack. That doesn't mean he should. Doesn't mean Aaron Rodgers, and if we were just a few years ago before the quarterback strike zones, might be picking his spleen out of that. And that's the thing that makes it really scary right now when you're talking about 77 and his progression, is that there's still 3, 4, 5 times a game where it's look out, it's run Jordan, right? Like, obviously that's not a shot at from his little brother, but that's the Jordan Love. The Packers left tackle had a couple of those moments where he was telling Jordan Love to run earlier in the year, and NFL Films caught it mic'd up. And, that is absolutely terrifying for 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers. It would have been terrifying for 31 or 21-year-old Aaron Rodgers, given his proclivity to have his collarbone find cold, frozen tundra and snap.
I think that's the advantage of all those years of experience, though. It makes you a little bit more frail, obviously. You can't escape nearly as well, but the sixth sense you develop, or the experience knowing what kind of fronts Jim Schwartz is going to run at you and what that player is and isn't capable of. You get a timer that's going to benefit you tremendously. And I do feel like I take shots at Arthur Smith, but I try to be fair when I think it's worth it. And between the 6 offensive linemen or Washington or play design or play calls, they have figured out a way in this game to prevent Myles Garrett or any of the other really good Cleveland Browns pass rushers from wrecking your game. And that happened against Green Bay. And maybe that's the difference of Jordan Love being early in his career, maybe, field awareness not being a strength of his at this point compared to Aaron Rodgers. And it goes back to the original premise of this video, is that you got this guy. Somehow he's still athletic enough to take advantage of all this experience he has.
Here's why you have to go get wide receiver 2. There's nothing else they're going to do unless San Francisco were to go in the toilet and you could go get Trent Williams, which we've talked about before. Unless there were, some absolute future gold jacket left tackle that you were going to go legit give up draft capital, right? Here's why you have to go get wide receiver 2. And maybe you even do have to go give up something substantial for A.J. Brown, is because that dictates tempo to the defense, and that forces them to change the way they're going to scheme you, even with Broderick Jones, not as a turnstile, but as a guy who 3 to 5 times a game is going to make you hold your breath. There were 3 to 5 times in the pocket where Aaron Rodgers was protected and he got happy feet because he doesn't trust that. He doesn't know what that feels like behind this line. And there were 3 to 5 throws that he missed, including the one that he pulled the string on, where it's happening because he's either rushing to avoid something he's expecting, a hit, a pressure, a sack, or he's just not comfortable enough so that muscle memory is off a heartbeat, and you end up missing a big-time play because of it. And that big-time play could be a 60-yard tutty, or it could be a 7-yard at the sticks on the boundary that he makes 9 out of 10 times, and now it's only 6 or 7 because his feet aren't right. So it's all connected. It's all connective tissue. And when you think about what a guy like AJ Brown could do, is at the very least, he helps you start to mitigate some of these things if Broderick Jones doesn't improve.
Yeah, and I think you're going to get into these situations, especially against the better teams, where you need a touchdown. There's 3 minutes to go. They're rushing 4 guys and dropping everybody, right? And normal size wide receivers are going to be covered up, or they're going to be separated from the ball. You need another player along with DK Metcalf that can just go get it, right? You're going to need at least one of those where it's like, crap, I can't check down here. I check down, they're going to tackle him. The clock's going to run. We're going to lose 4 yards. We can't do anything but throw it downfield. And when you get in those situations, that's why the teams with the top targets, have a tendency to come out on top.
Any conversation about quarterbacks being protected, Super Bowls, and dudes who can just go get it and win comes back to actually Jalen Ramsey, because in the Super Bowl against Joe Burrow, when Aaron Donald had his put a ring on it moment, Jamar Chase was about to toast Jalen Ramsey. You talk about heartbeats. Joe Burrow just throws that one up because bleep it, Jamar's down there somewhere. If Joe Burrow was able to set his feet and throw, the Bengals win that Super Bowl. Like, that's the difference between winning and losing in those moments. You have a dude against one of their dudes singled up. I love Calvin Austin, right? I don't trust him the same way you trust some of these other guys. The problem is, if Broderick Jones isn't right, as we go through the Pat Meyer coach and develop versus Broderick Jones player get in the lab and figure it out, I want to see the Trey Essexes and all the guys of the world who stay a part of Steelers Nation and do such a great job of both being critical when dudes are poor and need to improve, and also do the round of applause when dudes show that improvement, to keep telling the truth. Because if Broderick Jones thinks that was Super Bowl level tape against Myles Garrett because he didn't give up a sack, his play was actually closer to the PFF grade than people realize.
All righty. Great stuff, New Bear. Cannot wait to talk about this Thursday night matchup. We'll be back soon to do that. Make sure you check out our short series, The Curtain Call, where we applaud the biggest plays from Steelers game day. It's in our library. While you're over there, go ahead, hit that subscribe, man. That would be amazing if you guys could do that. We're actually getting a ton of people to do the views and the viewing hours, but the subs just aren't quite where we need them to be yet. So, just a tiny request. But till next time, for New Bear, I'm Dawson. We'll see you out there on the Knoll Road.